Have you ever tried cracking an egg directly into a pot of boiling water, only to find the egg whites runny and not forming the desired shape? It looks simple, but if done incorrectly, the egg whites can easily break apart, making it look unattractive and affecting the enjoyment of eating it. Therefore, today, I will share with you a very simple trick to make your eggs neater, more visually appealing, and much tastier. The method is not complicated at all. With just a few simple tips, you can do it right at home. Let's get started. The first tip I want to share is a way to boil eggs that results in neater, more visually appealing eggs, and especially helps prevent the egg whites from becoming runny when added to hot water. First, I prepare 3 small bowls and 1 large bowl. Instead of cracking the eggs directly into the bowls as usual, this time I'll take a small but quite useful step. I crack the egg into a sieve first. At this point, the runny egg white will slowly drain into the bowl below, while the main egg will be retained. This method helps remove the overly runny egg white, which is also the reason why eggs tend to break apart when added to hot water. Once the runny egg white has drained, I gently pour the egg into the prepared small bowl. Then, I continue doing the same with the remaining 2 eggs. This preparation step, though small, makes the finished product much more visually appealing. Once the eggs are prepared, I begin the boiling process. I put water in the pan, then added a little salt and 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, and stirred until dissolved. Salt and vinegar are 2 familiar ingredients that many people use in this egg boiling trick, helping the egg whites to hold their shape faster when heated. Next, I slowly poured each egg into the water. At this point, you'll see that the eggs hold their shape much more neatly, no longer becoming runny and bursting like when you crack them open directly. Then I covered the pan to let the eggs cook gradually. When the water started boiling vigorously, I opened the lid and checked the doneness of the eggs. When they reached the desired consistency, I gently removed the eggs to a plate. To see what the inside looked like, I used a knife to cut the egg in half. The egg white had formed beautifully, while the yolk inside was still soft and slightly runny, looking very appetizing and appealing. A simple trick that makes the eggs look much better and taste much better. The second tip is another interesting way to cook eggs. If you like soft-boiled eggs that retain their beautiful shape, this method is worth trying. First, prepare a large cup, then add some warm water and a pinch of salt. Next, stir well until the salt is completely dissolved, creating a diluted saltwater mixture. Then, divide a small amount of this mixture into each prepared small bowl. The amount of water doesn't need to be excessive, just enough for the eggs. Crack each egg directly into each bowl. The eggs will fit neatly in their individual bowls, maintaining their beautiful shape. Once prepared, gently place the bowls of eggs into a steamer. Next, place a small plate on top of the bowls of eggs. Then, add a little apple cider vinegar to the steamer. This little trick is often used by many people when steaming or cooking eggs to help ensure a more stable cooking process. Then, I covered the pot tightly and started cooking. When the water in the pot started to boil, I lowered the heat slightly so the eggs would cook slowly. This method helps the eggs cook more smoothly and prevents them from cooking too quickly. When the eggs reached the desired doneness, I gently removed each bowl. At this point, there was still some excess water in each bowl, so I poured it away first. Then, I gently used a spoon to scoop the eggs out and place them on a plate. The finished product consists of neat, smooth, and beautifully shaped eggs that look quite appealing. This is also a good way if you want your eggs to look more presentable when served. The third tip is a rather interesting way to prepare eggs by combining them with eggplant. creating a visually appealing and very attractive dish. First, I prepare 3 fresh eggplants. When choosing eggplants, I usually prioritize those that are firm, have smooth skin, and are fresh so that the dish tastes better and retains its shape. Next, I cut off the top of each eggplant to make it easier to handle. Then, I gently use a spoon to scoop out the seeds and pulp. This step needs to be done slowly and carefully so that the outer skin remains intact, as this skin will act as a natural mold for the filling in the following steps. I will start from the cut end of the eggplant, using the tip of the spoon to gently rotate in a circular motion and slowly scoop out the seeds and pulp. Don't press too hard at first, because eggplant is quite soft. If you press too hard, the skin is easily punctured or cracked, making it difficult to maintain its attractive shape during cooking. I will remove some of the inner pulp to create a sufficiently large space, but still leave a thin layer of eggplant flesh clinging to the skin so that the eggplant isn't too thin and retains its firmness during cooking. Do the same with the remaining eggplants. After completion, the eggplant pieces will resemble small, natural cups, very neat and ready to be combined with the egg filling. This step also makes the dish look much more interesting and appealing when finished. Next, I prepare a bowl of water, then add a little salt and stir until completely dissolved. Once the salt has dissolved, I soak all the eggplant pieces in it. This step helps the eggplant come into contact with the salt water and is also a common method many people use before cooking eggplant. While waiting for the eggplant to pickle, I'll take the opportunity to prepare other vegetables and ingredients to save time. While waiting for the eggplant to soak, I'll take the opportunity to prepare the other ingredients. First, the scallions. I used the pre-washed scallions, then placed them on a cutting board and chopped them into moderately sized pieces. Scallions not only enhance the aroma of the dish during cooking, but also add a vibrant color, making the finished product more visually appealing. After chopping, I put the scallions on a separate plate. Next, the tomatoes. I took the tomatoes and cut them in half first for easier handling. Then, from each half, I sliced them into small pieces and then chopped them further so that the tomatoes would blend easily with the egg filling later. When chopped like this, the tomatoes will soften faster during cooking and also help create a naturally sweet and slightly juicy flavor for the dish. After chopping, I also put the tomatoes on a separate plate. After soaking the eggplants for the required time, I removed each one from the brine and let them drain before adding the filling. First, I put a little chopped tomato into each eggplant. This layer of tomato will add juicier juice and a naturally sweet flavor. Next, I added some chopped green onions to each eggplant. The green onions will enhance the aroma when heated, and the green color will make the dish look more appealing. Then came the main ingredient, the eggs. I gently cracked each egg directly into the center of each eggplant. I did this carefully to keep the yolk intact, because a visually appealing egg will make the dish look much more attractive. Next, I sprinkled a little salt on each egg to season it. Just a light seasoning is enough, because we still want to preserve the natural sweetness of the ingredients. Next, I added some chopped tomatoes on top. Adding another layer of tomatoes not only makes the dish more visually appealing, but also adds moisture during baking, making the overall dish softer and tastier. Finally, I sprinkled a layer of shredded cheese on top. This step makes the dish much more attractive, as the cheese will melt during baking, creating a light creaminess and a very delicious surface layer. Once everything was prepared, I started the baking process. First, I lined the bottom of the air fryer with parchment paper to prevent ingredients from sticking and to make cleaning easier after cooking. Then, I gently arranged each eggplant inside the air fryer. I tried to place the eggplants upright so that the filling wouldn't tilt or spill out during baking. Next, I set the temperature to 180 degrees Celsius for about 20 minutes. During this time, the eggplant will gradually soften, the eggs will cook through, the tomatoes will release their natural sweetness, and the cheese on top will begin to melt, creating a very appealing topping. As the air fryer operates, the aroma from the eggs, eggplant, and cheese will spread, creating a very pleasant scent. After the cooking time is up, I take the dish out and place it on a plate. At this point, the finished product looks very appealing with a light golden cheese layer on top. The eggplant is soft and retains its shape quite well. But to check the quality of the food inside, I will use a knife and fork to gently cut a piece to check. This is the most interesting part, because when you cut it open, you will clearly see how soft and cooked the eggplant is, and how the filling inside blends with the tomatoes, green onions, and the outer layer of eggplant. Just looking at it is already very appetizing. The finished dish is both visually appealing and very tempting, with a soft, fragrant eggplant on the outside, a creamy, soft egg inside, blended with tomatoes, green onions, and a layer of melted cheese on top. This is a way to transform familiar ingredients into a visually appealing yet easy-to-make dish at home. If you're used to the usual ways of preparing eggs, try this tip to add variety to your meals. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next interesting cooking tips.